So, all right. I'm so glad everybody could make it. I'm Andrea Tolsman from Illinois Ornithological Society, and this is our Big Sit after party and award ceremony. So I'm excited to share this year's kind of the stories from this year, and we can all talk and get a feeling for what it was like around the state over our weekend in September. So I'm going to, Erin Tedesco is our primary organizer of this event. She's really the impetus behind making sure that we have what we need to make this happen. So thank you, Erin, for that. And then her teammates, her partners are Evan Smith, who will be joining us as soon as he's able to, and Paul Senner, who is also an Illinois, they're both Illinois Ornithological Society board members as well. So together we will put together, or we will show this presentation, and as people are able to jump on the call, we'll let them take over with their part. And then after the little presentation, then we can all introduce ourselves and chat about what our Big Sit days were like. Okay, so with that, let me go ahead and share my screen. Make sure that you all can see this. I think.
Ooh.
Awesome. All right. So Evan Smith did our artwork for us this year, which was really fun. And Paul Senner put together the slideshow with our results. So without further ado, I know Paul can probably give more context, but this, if he jumps on, he can explain more, but this is the locations of the big sits around the state this year. So we had a nice concentration up around the lakefront. We had a great concentration around the Champaign, Central Illinois area, and we had our southernmost Illinois representation. So we really actually got a great cross section across the state of what it's like in fall migration, because these are kind of the zones of Illinois. You know, we notice on like the Discord chats and on like our record keeping for the state, we divide it by northern, central, and southern Illinois. And this absolutely identifies where those cross sections happen. So that's kind of fun. And I'm not sure the designation between yellow. Oh, I bet the yellow versus blue is yard sits versus teams.
You got it.
Yep. So we had also, which is fantastic, a nice, we've been encouraging people to do yard sits, you know, that you can, it's a great way to see what's going on right at your fingertips. And so we will hear more about that later, but we had a really great cross section of people doing yard sits around the state and teams. So let's jump right in with our prizes. So first of all, I want to say thank you very much to Ron Zick from Wild Birds Unlimited in Glenview. He donated some bird feeders and bird feed as well. So those will be some of the prizes that are distributed. But it was he was extremely generous this year, and he's been a great supporter of our organization and the event. So we'll talk more about that later. But I'm going to let Erin take it away. Do you want to talk about these prizes, or do you want to get to the different events, Erin? You should talk about the trophies.
Okay. So yeah, the most species trophy was the one I made first, and that's been going on since 2021, I believe. Although I retroactively put the winners from the 2020 season on there because that was the first big sit that Adam Sell did.
It was, yep.
And then the species in the yard, I made it like probably in 2022, but again, also put the 2020 and 21 winners on there. So, and then proceeded to win it the next 2 years, like I made it for myself or something. It was totally unintentional. So don't worry, that has changed this year.
That's good.
So, and then we have the new category of the rookie of the year. So yeah. So the fundraising winners.
Do you want me to go ahead to the next slide?
Yeah, go for it. That's
all right.
So yeah, this is the most important category, let's face it. This is what we're here for. So these are the true heroes and sheroes. So yeah, count them down, 3, 2, 1.
All right. I think we've got, with a drum roll for third place, the Boom Shakalaka Chakalakas came in with a whopping $484.44 of fundraising. So that is amazing. Congratulations and thank you. That's fantastic. Number 2 with the Big Marsh Fwens and they brought in $744.82, which was great. They're a team that they've been actually doing the big sit since the very, I think all three of the teams have been doing this since the beginning, haven't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so we've got some long-standing teams, and our number one were the Mott Bros. They had 700. They just squeaked in with the win for the fundraising total of $767. So these three teams helped raise a ton of money for the organization. We thank you so much. This is amazing for the organization. This supports Illinois Young Birders, supports our grant programs. Those are the two main things that we do this fundraiser for. So it really builds those programs and supports them. So yeah, Aaron, go for it. Take it away.
All right. What is the next slide?
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah. Sorry. Do you want to do the grand total or do you want me to take it?
Go for it.
All right. So we raised a total of, with all the teams, we had like 11 teams and individual sits, yard sits. We raised a total of $3,633.58, which exceeded our goal. Our goal was 3,000 for the year. So this is fantastic. It really was a phenomenal year. We had a lot of support, and it was a great variety of support, which is always like the best fundraising, when you get a lot of people excited and interested in supporting the event. So I would say this was a really great cross section across the team. So thanks to everyone for that.
And before you go to the next slide,
sorry. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, this photo you're seeing, this was Josh and Nathan's team. Like, they had just a bunch of people coming to a very public spot in Chicago. It wasn't Montrose, it was Jarvis. And I think that's just great to get all these people now know what a big sit is, and they participated in one, and they're kind of like breaking the 5-person rule, but like, hey, whatever. But yeah, I just love this photo. Josh is in the left corner there, and you can see Lynn Johnston and stuff there. So yeah, that's what that is, and that's great. I love it.
Yeah, they they were a last minute entry. We were really excited that Josh wanted to participate in this. And yeah, they sit on that platform at Jarvis, which is like a small area that faces this little wooded area, and they do this on a regular basis. So it was exciting that Josh brought this together and introduced this to everyone. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, next category.
All right. So this is the team totals for the non-yard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't actually have the stats in front of me, Andrea.
Okay,
so
here, I'll
just do them. Can you do them 3, 2, 1?
Yep, here's 3. I'll let you take it away.
All right. So the Fort Sheridan Diamond Dogs, they've been doing this since 2021. Probably a lot of the same repeat people. Jeff Bilski, Amanda Tikachek, Tom Lally, Adam Sell. I believe that was their team this year. Yeah, 62. That, I think that's a great total, because they're not in a place where they can really get shorebirds besides flybys and not a ton of ducks and stuff. So yeah, that's a very good total. I don't know what day they did it on, but yeah, very nice 3rd place showing.
Yeah. All right. Number 2.
So Big Marsh Friends just squeaked by them. I mean, that could have gone either way. And honestly, Big Marsh might not have the greatest conditions right now. They have definitely been in the 70s, even the 80s before. So yeah, good, but a good showing this year under not perfect conditions. So I have everybody's names written somewhere I can pull up, and I'll do that later. Read everybody's names of the teams that participated. But yeah, so yeah. Good job, Marsh Friends.
And
then drum roll.
Woohoo.
The Big Sidowski.
Yeah.
This was that's pictured there, me in the middle with Zach Sutton to my left, and John Fabricki. He's a new birder, although he's from Chicago. He knows Josh. He was a young birder or did young birder events.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was cool to have him. And then our other person, Anne, joined us later, so she's not pictured. They never were there together. But at Clinton Lake, we managed to scrounge up 90 species. It was birdie, but it was the same birds flitting around us all day, and so we really had to dig for even like a cardinal.
Wow.
The wood stork didn't show up, so that would have been 91. But we did break 90. We were very happy with that, and I think we definitely had the best conditions. So it's almost like apples and oranges, but we were happy with our sit, and it was a great day. It was never got hot, so
That's good.
we'll be hanging on to that trophy again.
Fair enough.
Hey.
Yeah.
Have you gotten wood stork there before?
No, wood stork is like one of those birds that shows up in Illinois once in a while. There's not that many records of it, and it had been there the last 2 days, so we were hopeful, but
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Celebrity appearance this time.
Yeah. What day did you do your sit on? Was it Friday or Saturday? Saturday, yeah.
For optimal conditions, like I think across the state, because it rained a little bit Friday here, and it rained Sunday throughout most of the area. So Saturday was the day to do it.
Yeah.
Except I guess it was hot in Chicago.
It was hot. Yeah. Do any of the other teams want to talk about the kind of the species? I know we've got Rhonda. Do you want to talk at all about your species? And I know you want to talk about your overall sit in a little bit, but yeah, do you want to talk about like how the species you saw?
Well, we were kind of disappointed as usual. We try to find a spot that has multiple habitat types, but it's really hard down here to find that. Plus, we usually coincide the Southern Illinois Audubon Society picnic with that. So finding, those three things at work. And then as it turned out, over the last year, the city of Carbondale had removed some trees and some shrubs from Evergreen Park, so there was less bird habitat. But I convinced my partners to just try it one more time, and then it was really hot. It was very, very hot down here, and we did, have managed to get a couple shorebirds to help us, but our songbirds were just absent. It was weird, kind of freaky weird. So we're going to try to find another location to see. It's just really hard down here to get kind of a spot where you have everything, that meshes, but other than that, we had a good time. We always do. And the people come at noon for the picnic, and they're always thrilled just to hear, we have our little Tykes tote board up all the time, so the people can go run down and see what we got. And that makes it interesting, so.
That's a great idea.
But that way, we did that initially when we started out at Crab Orchard, National Wildlife Refuge, and was kind of a public spot. So we thought that would be a way to, kind of people wandered by and say, oh, what are you doing? Well, here's what we're doing. So anyway.
That's great.
Yeah, that is a great idea. I know that the Big Marsh people do that too. Whenever there's like a sort of more public sit, that's awesome. We totally could have done that this year at Clinton Lake because people were coming to see the wood stork, and we actually had a bunch more sets of eyes. Like Jim Mountjoy was there, Jane Leone, Keith McMullen. They all honestly like helped us find birds for our team. So that was fun, and that was just good. It's good for a big sit to like have people stop by. Oh, we're looking for the wood stork. What are you guys doing? We're doing a big sit. So maybe we'll just have a board next year, and if anybody comes by, great. We'll be ready.
And I wanted to say something. If you look at who donated, it looks like my name comes up, but that's because people give me cash. So I, made the and
yep.
I try every time I try to put somebody's name in, it would pop up with my name.
I had the same thing happen in years past when people would do the same for me, and I was like, no, I didn't make the donation, but it would show up as my name anyway. I was like, sorry, I know I made that on your behalf.
Oh, no, I didn't put all that money in. I just want to make
That's awesome.
Does someone from the Mott Bros want to share about your species total and the conditions that you guys had?
Yeah, sure. It was pretty here. It was pretty hot throughout the middle of the day, and like after like 8:39. I don't think we saw a single new bird. So it was morning flight before sunrise was really good. We had a few hundred Swainson's thrushes flying over and some stuff like that. A lot of warblers, but as soon as it got light, it just kind of died down. And it was okay. We had some decent stuff, like we had Wilson's snipe and Forster's turn, which was nice. But then it was overall pretty slow, but it was fun.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
had
and
lark sparrow.
oh yeah.
That was good. And then we had a couple like early fall things, like we had Sharpie, which was, one of the first ones. And then we had purple finch too.
Good. It's good.
I think the more exciting part of our day was like the few hundred bats that we saw migrating in off the lake. There were like right when we got there, there were probably a few hundred bats flying around the dunes. And then later, once it got really slow, we just tried and played a game where we tried to see how many bats we could find in 5 minutes in the sanctuary.
How many bats did you get total in the like that you accumulated between the three of you?
I think over the whole course, I think it was like 27 or something like that, maybe a few more.
Yep.
That's pretty great. And all did you find all three species of bats that were being seen that day?
No, just the silver hair. But when they were flying around, we saw silver hair, red, and brown.
Yeah.
Most of them were red, the ones flying in, but then we couldn't find any when we went in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
I think mostly since we were just sort of playing the game and it was like a time thing, we weren't like, scanning under, because the red bats, they go under the leaves and they like sit on the underside of the leaves. So they're a little bit harder to find than the silver hairs, because the silver hairs just sit on the trunk of the tree. So
Mhm. That's great. That's good. Well, you get the species total for mammals, I guess. Oh, maybe not. I guess we'd have to quantify that probably because some
Oh.
people, who knows?
We saw 2 raccoons swimming across the channel, but that's just one species of mammal. So
Yeah,
it was interesting. I've never seen raccoons swim like that.
that's wild.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's good. All right. Well, this is great. I know that it was a wide range between our number one and our number two, but I think that probably had as much to do with the weather. It was really hot in northern Illinois that day on that weekend. Well, on Saturday. It was very warm. So but this was great. All right, should we keep going, Aaron?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So our next one, oops, I gotta click back on this. There we go. Our yard sit species totals. All right, Aaron, can
I
everyone see the
showed you.
picture?
Yeah. So this is what's her name? Charva?
That's Otto.
Oh, that's Otto. And then
Charva was-
Nate and Britt, this is their porch where we did I was there with them for their sit on the Sunday. So so this year I did my sit in Champaign and it just wasn't great. There were a lot of birds moving around, but they were all the same ones. And I just didn't have that magic I did the last 2 years. So actually Bob Dolgan up in Forest Park in Chicago proper, we tied each at 35 species. So miles and miles apart, 35 species for third place. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and do number three.
Yep.
Oops, I gotta keep clicking on this. All right,
There
number three. That
So
was
Bob is seating plan and Magic Fountain is me in Champagne. So yeah, still pretty great, but not as cool as some years. And then this woman that I met burning at Busey Woods, she lives in Mahomet, which is just west of Champaign Urbana. And I was like, hey, you're always talking about birds in your yards. Why don't you do a yard sit? And she did. She came in second with 45
awesome.
of her two Finch, two Furious.
I
So
love it. That's great. So
Yeah.
she was new to the event.
brand new injury. And I will read those names later, as I said. But
Yep.
yeah. And then drum roll, I think you know where this is going. When you live in a forest preserve, you get 55 species, and we could have gotten 57. We just couldn't rule out like if they were new or not. But
Mhm.
up to 57. So we were just thrilled.
That's
And
awesome.
so that was Britt Carlson, Nate Schrader, Terrence Selden Quaffo, and myself. Had a blast birding in Homer, Illinois, near Homer Lake Forest Preserve. So
That's
that was
awesome.
our best thing. Didn't we have a sharpshin hawk
Yeah.
and that's a tanager? That was cool. A bunch of warblers, like at least 6 to 8, maybe more warbler species. So yeah, very fun sit.
We got like all of the woodpeckers except for a hairy we thought maybe we heard, but we weren't sure.
Right. I
Okay.
couldn't rule out I couldn't tell if it was a hairy woodpecker or a belted kingfisher, and near their yard, they could be either one. So if I would have been able to ID that for sure as a hairy, we would have had a slam. So
Yeah.
very cool.
Well, and Britt, I'm going to take something from what you said a little bit ago, that like this gave you the opportunity to see some species from your yard that you knew were around the area, but that you hadn't seen from your yard, which I think is excellent for a yard sit. It's a great.
Yeah, it's fun because we have this property and we'll walk around, so we'll see certain birds more down by the river, right, or over here. So it was pretty cool to be able to sit there and to have Aaron also there to help us spot them. Like we've never seen, a sapsucker that close to the house before. We've seen them out in the woods, but not within sight of the back deck. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we had a yellow-billed cuckoo and 2 Philadelphia vireos also. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Excellent. All right. And I think, is anyone else on that did a yard sit?
No, that's the 4 of us. We all placed.
That's awesome. I love it. That's great.
Next
All
year we're gonna have 8 teams. Watch.
Yeah. So 8 teams of,
Yeah,
Eight.
more and more yard sits. I want to get
Yeah.
Scott to do it. I'm just gonna make someone go to his yard and make him do it. So volunteers, please.
I'll
Oh,
do
and
it
then-
next year.
I was going to say,
Yeah, do
Owen's
it,
got a
Owen.
yard. Owen
Yeah.
does a yard sit every day.
Yeah.
So do I. I love it. Cool. So
Rhonda,
yeah, our
Rhonda,
next
have you ever done a yard sit in because you've got a great habitat, right?
Well, I have done a sit-ish once, and I had over 60 species, but I can never figure out where in the yard to sit. We have 40 acres and 15 of it is, I call it a meadow. Some people call them prairie, since we're in the of mixed native species, over 550 native species that we plant and we harvest. It's harvest season right now. It's in a mix. It's not row cropped. And then we have, woods and my magic spruce tree. And I thought about it, but I can never figure out what spot, because generally every morning I take my dog out and it's around the yard I go, so I go to the different habitats, and I'd have a hard time figuring out which one to go to sit.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, we were largely decided because there's a spot where you can put chairs. It's right by the house. You can go in and get snacks. And then as we did on Sunday, it was rainy. So it's nice having that little overhang right there. So we mostly stayed dry. So that decided it for us.
It was so warm, it didn't matter though. Like I was getting wet, but it was like 75 degrees. So it was okay because it wasn't like cold and rainy. So
Yeah.
it was actually a beautiful day because I hate the sun. So I was in heaven.
For our day, it started out kind of spotty rain, and by mid-morning I was wishing for a downpour because it was very still and very hot. And we had a mix of a couple warblers and a couple got several of the woodpeckers and all, but it was just so still and hot. It made me impatient.
Yeah, I hear you.
I was hoping it would rain, and naturally, because it was supposed to be in the forecast, but it never did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go into our next category, which is
The rookie of the year. Little we love Evan and I love the puns.
that's good.
We're just punning all the time. Bird puns. So
All right.
I didn't do a 3-2-1 for this. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I just was gonna say all their names.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Fabricki and Ann Anderson, they were on our Big Satowski team, and was great. Ann Bird's at Clinton like all the time. She lives right there, and she actually helped us scout and let us know, like, hey, actually the conditions that were bad 2 weeks ago are perfect now. So we changed our sit location at the last minute. And then John, as I was mentioning before, he knows Josh Engel and is from Chicago and was birding up there, and now is going to school down here in Champaign. So I think I met him, out birding here, and he put out a note on our Champaign group me. Hey, is like someone doing a big sit? I'm like, you can be on our team.
Awesome.
Come on, dude, let's do it. So, and he proved to be a really good teammate. He found we were searching for a semi-palmated plover, and he found one.
Good.
Oh, that was another thing I'll say it later. But so here's our awesome rookies of the year. They're gonna get that special trophy, which I will put in the camera in a second. Shout out to Andrina Alvarado, who did she did the yard sit. She was brand new. And then George Garcia was leading a BIPOC team, and it got rained out, but he went to I want to say Washington Park. I'm not sure the spot they were, but he went there and did a sit by himself in the pouring rain, got like 33 species. So shout out to George for like doing it. And curse the rain, because we would have had way more new people to choose from. But yeah, these are the rookies of the year. I'm sorry they couldn't make it tonight, but they'll fight over this trophy, who gets to babysit it.
There you go. Do you want to
show the trophy, Andrea?
Yeah, there you go. So it's got the little bird in the nest.
Can everybody see it, or
just scoot it to your left just a little bit? There you go. Perfect. Now we can see it.
Can other people see it? I just see the share screen.
Yeah, no, we can see it.
Okay, great.
We can see it in the camera. Like, do you want I can take it off of now. Here, let me.
There we go.
There, now it's bigger. Can everyone see it? Aaron does an awesome job making the trophies. It's great.
I love making trophies, man.
Yeah.
And there's like a trophy place in town. You just roll up and tell them what you want, and then they engraved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
2 winners. So we'll have the new, and then there's room throughout the whole thing.
Nice. We can add to it. Love it.
Yeah. Yay.
Great.
Cool.
That's awesome. All right, let's see where we are now. So, yeah, the rookie of the year was awesome. It's nice to add. This encourages us to keep inviting more and more people to get out and see birds with us. All right, let's see. We've got the combined species total, and we have a picture of.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she used 2 different colors of markers, so those spaces actually have birds listed there too, but it didn't show up in the picture.
Oh, like a yellow marker? Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
green, I think. And I think I took another picture that doesn't have them in it that I zoomed in. Yeah, but that's guys, green marker, and it didn't show up.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that's a good list. It's a nice, like, I love how it keeps going and going. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah, it helps us keep good track too, because we keep an eBird list, but we correspond those so that we always know that we haven't forgot somebody somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, do we have a countdown for this one, Aaron?
No, the combined species total is all the teams for.
Got it. Oh, yep.
Oh, you did some of the older ones, so yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'll just put them all on here.
Yeah. So, there's what happens when conditions are bad. Nothing you can do. But we had fun, and pretty great. Considering, honestly, the ones that we could dig up, and
what were some of the highlight species? Like, if you could pick 1 or 2 species from the different sits that everybody that's on, what would you say? I think Owen already said larkspur, definitely.
The larkspur was great.
Yeah.
This isn't like super rare or anything, but Anne and I in the evening had 2 black-bellied plovers and 2 golden plovers fly in together. So they're flying, so you can see the black under the wing. and it was like a clinic. Like, here are the two species together, compare them perfectly as they fly in together, and then they perch together, and there's photos of them, and like, one is slender, one is chunky, one has a fat bill, one has a slender bill. It was crazy. So that was like National Geographic right there, for us at Clinton Lake. So
That's good.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
something way cool.
We got excited about seeing that really late kingbird.
Oh yeah, we had a very late kingbird that eBird wanted to argue about. So I got some photos, and yeah, that
The
was
best
neat.
photo.
That's good.
Found it with it like vomiting up some piece
Oh
of food.
yeah. Like, I don't know how, I'm not well, maybe I can share my screen, but I'll try to find that. But yeah, it was like I was just taking a photo of it, and suddenly I see it kind of like what owls do, you know, when they cough up a pellet. But I've never seen like a songbird cough up a pellet, so that was pretty intense. Very cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Okay. Anybody else have any species they wanted to
All right,
highlight?
how do I
Oh, you want to share? Here, let me stop. And you should be able to share. So just down at the bottom where it says share screen, you should be able to share that. Hey, Paul. Yeah, you should be able to, I've enabled it so you can share.
Did you take apart the Eastern Kingbird pellet?
No, we didn't run
Oh.
over to get it. It was just, yeah, such a crazy timing.
Mm-hmm. Is it letting
Yeah.
you share, Aaron?
It's like this old iPad that I don't know how to do it from. So I'll put it in the chat at some point, maybe.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
That's why I didn't do the PowerPoint.
Yeah, here, I'll go back to the PowerPoint and let's see what's next. So just a few pictures that we have to share from around the state. People sent in pictures. So in the bottom left corner is the Red Hill Birding Big Sit at Jarvis, which is in Chicago, but it's just down the shoreline from Montrose area. So you can see that there's like this protected area that's surrounded by a fence that's about an acre or so of land, and you can walk the perimeter, but they've made this nice little boardwalk platform on the one end, and there's like a variety of, there's the woodland and there's a little wetland that's inside the fence line right there, and it's right on the lakefront, which is directly behind where the people are standing. So you get a great variety of habitats. It's a nice spot for people to do a big sit. And then above that, I'm not sure, is this Aaron, is this from your big sit?
Yeah.
The sunset?
The top two is Clinton Lake.
Yep.
And in the evening, and then like the bunch of people that came to, they're all looking for the wood stork, or you know, hanging out waiting for it to fly in. And then to the right of it again is Rhonda's sandwich board. And then the plovers, those are the black belly on the left and the golden plover on the right, for ridiculous comparison right next to each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
Andrew, say my Big Marsh report.
Say that again. Sorry, it
Can
cut
I
out.
give my Big Marsh report?
Yes, please do.
So we had disaster day where the morning of our big sit, my son was really sick, so we had to go to the doctor. And then Matt and Vicky Igleski both had COVID.
Oh,
They tested positive that morning. So the only Jake and Stephanie could show up, and they were only there for a couple hours. Had 63 species, which last year we were there till 2 p.m. Our entire total was 69 species.
wow.
So it could have been a really good day at Big Marsh, honestly. Like, I think 63 species for, I don't know, 2.5 hours is pretty nuts for big sits. So I think it's a year of like what could have been at Big Marsh.
Yeah, I did. That's amazing. I didn't know that. I just didn't hear that people were falling like flies that day. So.
Yeah. Something was in the air in Chicago that day at Big Marsh. So
Yeah. Well, good. That's great. Do you know where they sat? Because I'm curious, just because the last time I was there, most of the places that we used to look for birds. You either can't see through it anymore or it's overgrown. So yeah, do you know where they sat?
Well, the last 2 years we've sat that newly constructed bridge that crosses. So we've sat just inside of there, and
Mhm.
it's been okay. You know, our a spot before the year when we had like 96 species,
Uh-huh.
that is now too overgrown. You can't see anything from there. Um,
Yeah.
and also just water conditions at Big Marsh have never been as perfect as they were that one year. It was really an exceptionally big marsh. So
Yeah.
one year they'll be that good again.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those places that I think like Chicagoland area birders kind of wonder like if it's a management thing or if it's, you know, because there it's used to be this amazing like mud flat kind of a thing. And now it's overgrown with cattails and there's deeper water, but the cattail habitat is really spreading. So
Yeah.
it's changed the landscape quite a bit.
Yeah. And well, I think one year we had way too much water. Next
Mhm.
year, no water. I haven't been out there honestly this fall, so I couldn't tell you what it was like. But yeah, I think it is in some ways a management issue, and other ways just a crazy weather swing issue.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. All right. Well, that was great. Let me see if there's more pictures. I
Well,
think that's oh
we
yeah.
need to do the cleverest team name. Let's turn that over to Dustin.
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
So third place got or is the big Satowski.
Nice.
Second place is Two Finch, Too Furious.
Nice.
so good.
And first place was Not Very Talented.
Yeah,
That was my favorite.
very good.
That's
Love it.
great. That's
I'm
great.
gonna write these down this year.
I didn't know
That's
that was
right.
you, Aaron, though, so I would have chosen that one, you know.
I
I
was not
mean,
involved.
That's okay. I think it's okay if we get all right. Yeah. I was gonna say, Aaron, are you writing it down?
so yeah, as Britt was saying, I didn't have any say in that name. They made that name up without me, and then I came and I wanted them to win, so I came and helped them.
We're happy to have you, but yes.
Yeah. Well, and Owen and Peter were you guys were the Montrose team, right? That
Yeah.
picture of the piping plovers and you guys was hilarious. That was perfect.
Who made that?
I
That
think
was great.
Henry just like picked the worst photos of all three of us that he had in his camera roll and then photoshopped it onto a picture of the plover chicks. So
And then I think somebody did it for the Big Marsh Friends for like a day.
Yeah. So
yeah, you
Jake
guys
did
copied
it.
us.
Yes, we did. We used AI to copy you. Jake used some generative AI to make a weird picture. I sent it to my donors. I don't know if it helped or not, but
Yeah. Yeah, if you're curious about what we're talking about, if you go back on to the Donately site and you go to the Mont Bros page, their picture of their team is on their faces on little plover chicks, tiny little plover chicks. So that's pretty good. They did a good job.
I
with that.
love it.
Yeah. Well, this has been actually super fun, just because I think across the board in terms of like the variety of species and the all the things, you know, the names and the fundraising, it really spread everything out across all the teams. Everyone got in on that. So that's awesome. And it was really fun. Does anybody else have any other stories? I know we kind of Rhonda, did you want to tell more about what's going on in southernmost Illinois?
Oh, I could go on because if you want to talk about environmental stuff, we've had some crazy things happen. Just for FYI, they're closing the office to Cypress Creek National Wildlife Refuge. And it will now be under the guise of Crab Orchard. It will still be Cypress Creek Wildlife Refuge, but it will be managed by the manager at Crab Orchard. That had kind of initially happened. The combination happened about 7 to 10 years ago, but I believe it's a little bit of lack of transparency on the current manager's spot position, but they basically had one person leave because he was going to stay at there were 3 employees at Cypress Creek. One left, then without anybody knowing really, the manager down there left, and then the manager Crab Orchard decided He said it was because of budget cuts, but the positions were there to be funded at least into 2025. So anyway, and then we're still fighting to keep the Shawnee a national forest, not a national park. The national park has no congressional support, so it's kind of dead in the water, luckily, but the people that are doing it are now trying to get it designated a national monument. And it's just, you know, if you don't like the way something is managed, you know, I always say you don't have to agree with everybody on everything. I don't even agree with my husband on everything, you know what I mean? So if the, you know, the Forest Service does something that you don't agree with, that's understandable. But that doesn't mean you need to eliminate them from the place. And I could go on and on about that, because a lot of what's being told is just not true. And I know because I've watched like 5 of their presentations, it gets morphed. So if you have any questions about any of those things, let me know. You know, we're very lucky we have all the habitat down here. You know, it's just really amazing. But we don't have a lot of the funding options that you have around a bigger city. You know, we don't have a lot of, we have all these groups, but it's all the same people in them, although that may be statewide too. I don't know, you know, with you know, but I just like, you know, and we're gonna do the Blitz again, but we're not sure what we're gonna do with the money, because we don't want to give it to the Friends this year, next year, because we don't want Justin Sexton, who does crab orchard, to get his hands on it. Anyway, but if you want to come down here, migration in southernmost Illinois is just outstanding. Even if you don't participate in the Blitz, you should get down here during spring, and the cacophony, you'll just, you know, knock your socks off. But when I was first birder, I used to be so jealous, because when we had L birds, you know, back way when Sue was running that, I'd see all these amazing birds that they were seeing at like Montrose, and I would be so jealous. But then I realized that up there you have not a lot of habitat, but a lot of birds there. Here we have a lot of habitat, so you have to drive everywhere.
Yeah.
You just can't go to one spot to see it. So
Yeah, it's like going to the zoo, Montrose Zoo.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I can say we came down down there to the whole southern part in June, right, Peter? We went in June. Is that when we went?
Yeah, we went in March and June this year.
But I was thinking June because we went for Chuck Will's widow, and we were camping at Ferncliff in the campground, not the RV park, but the little, you know, like the tent camping ground. And we were sitting there, and Peter and I looked over, and there was a bird sitting in the middle of the road next to our campsite that was Chuck Will's widow. And then they just like, yes, it was sitting on the road. Peter
Awesome.
looked at it. I was like, "There's a nighthawk right there." And Peter like, he goes, "That's a Chuck," you know, like, and he ran to get his camera, and we just we saw them in the forest. We heard them all night long. It was such a cool experience to have Chuck Wills and whippoorwills. Like they were just all calling all night long, and owls, and it was amazing.
That's
You know,
still the life bird for me. I gotta get down there.
June, it's amazing.
Okay.
Ferncliff is pretty much the spot. Now there used to be, I always feel like I'm telling those stories that my mother said, you know, we used to walk 4 miles to school, because I always want to refer to, you know, 20 to 30 years ago birding, you know, it's like I'm telling these like old lady stories. But you know, before that whole crash with them, you would drive down through Pine Hills or somewhere, and you were thinking you were, you know, like at night, you get this reflection and you think it was a soda can, and it was a nightjar. But now they're harder to come by, and there's a lot of habitat, so there could be other places that we don't know, but Ferncliff is definitely one. And there seems to be a connection with water, where we find the chucks. There's usually some body of water nearby.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
We had and the kids were down there. Peter, I know we were in, what was the name of the place where we went on the long hike and went down into that canyon? What was that place called?
Jackson Falls.
Jackson Falls, which is a little further east. And I mean, we were just down in this kind of dense forest, like canyon bottom, and there were just hooded warblers and like just like the things that are really exciting to see up here when, you know, everybody goes to look at them when we see them up here, but they're just everywhere down there and it's amazing. It was just so much different. It's like being in a different part of the country. It's like
It's definitely
different.
a different part of Illinois. And when again, back to those old stories, you know, when I was there sprinting, we always went to these certain spots because that's where you expected these things to be. But, you know, when I moved out here, I'm like, I don't have to go to Atwood Ridge for a hooded warbler. I just drive down the road, you know, and you drive into and I probably get less exercise now because I do so much more roadside birding because I can cover more territory that way. You know, you drive slow with your windows down and you hear something and you stop. You know, I live 2 miles from Little Grand Canyon, but I haven't hiked that in probably 6 years because I do the roads, you know, through everywhere, you know, through Pine Hills. I don't even get to the east side like I should, you know, but yeah.
It's a long ways over there.
It's pretty awesome in spring.
Yep. We came in March too, Peter. We did the Little Grand Canyon. And what were the birds we saw, Peter? Because we had some nice birds in March.
Where? Oh,
At
well,
Little
we had
Grand-
like some of the first Louisiana water thrushes and black and white warblers in the state. Trying to
There's-
think.
was
We
there a
had some
Karula
indigo
bird?
buntings that were pretty early. A few other things. It was nice because it's like there were already those things down there, and then it was still like 2 weeks later up here when up in Chicago that they finally started to move through.
You guys had barred owls like right by your Airbnb, right?
Yeah, we had we had a family of barred owls that were doing like if you go on the Sibley app and just scroll through the calls, there's some really wacky ones on there. And they were just doing all the calls on there. It was like they were doing like the caterwauling chorus or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And
I
they were like,
learned.
yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really cool. Like there were like we had a lot of birds from the car, like you were saying, just driving around on some of those country roads that were kind of wooded. There were a lot of things. We had like a lot of thrashers and lots of juncos and white-throated sparrows and stuff like that. It was really nice actually.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah,
Rhonda, we were
always trying to get Keith McMullen to do a big set, and he was like going on this Brazil trip, so he was afraid that he was going to be studying and stuff. But then he crashed our sit anyway. So
Yeah, I was wondering what was up with that.
oh, you're home studying, chasing a wood stork, but I'll get him to do it because yeah, we need to get more teams down there. I mean, I know you say it's hard to find perfect habitat, but man, even
So-
just yard sits, just
I
spread
would
it.
it count if you're sitting on a pontoon boat on Carlisle Lake? Would that count as a big sit?
Yeah.
Going around the lake, but you're on the boat the whole time?
Well, you go in a 17-foot circle.
That's right.
Just rotate,
Yeah, right.
yeah. Actually, Hazlitt would probably be a reasonable spot.
Yes.
I haven't been up there in a while, but you know, it's a great place for especially fall migrating warblers. And you've got the water, you know, there too.
Yeah, because look at Fort Sheridan. That's what they do. They look at warblers through a scope.
Yep. Yep.
So,
No, and I think Hazlitt we did a Carlisle Lake and Hazlitt field trip last year, and they started at Hazlitt in the morning, and they had a ton of species in the morning on a very average sort of day, and they had a really nice species total. So yeah, I think that could be a good spot.
That's where I got my Illinois black-throated blue, and like my only Illinois black-throated blue, since I don't get to travel much, was in fall at Hazlitt. It's an amazing place. I haven't been up there either.
Yeah.
Recently, but come down.
Yep. I was gonna say I strongly suggest it. It's amazing. If you
Although I realize it's a long ride. Oh, and speaking of that, you know, there are multiple Christmas bird counts down here that could use some help.
Okay.
We even over the years stacked several in a row. Arklands on the 27th, Alexander on the 28th, Arklands Pyramid State Park, amazing place for waterfowl. Alexander is around Horseshoe Lake Union County, or Horseshoe Lake in Alexander County.
Okay.
And then on 27th, 29th is Union County. And then the 30th is probably going to be Mermet. And I do 4 of these counts. I do Arklands, Mermet, Jackson and Middle Miss, and we could really use help on those two. But I know it's a travel thing and it's costly to stay down here, but those are 4 in a row if you wanted to do something like that down here.
Okay, that's
Cool.
good to know. We'll connect closer to that season because that'll be good to know.
And someday I'll take the train up to.
Right. That's right.
Don't you get bobcats in Southern Illinois too?
Pardon?
Don't you get bobcats down there too?
Oh, yes, we do. And the newest thing, the latest craze is armadillos.
Oh,
We have several on the property. I see them semi-regularly when I take my dog out at like 10 o'clock for her last constitutional. Yeah, that's the new thing. Tactical possums.
Wow.
You know what kind of armadillo?
I think it's
Banded?
yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. They say the guy at SIU studies them, Dr. Jimenez, and he was taught, you know, people are always going, oh no, leprosy. But they say that that's not necessarily, it's like I don't know, remember how he describes it, but he says that's really not a worry with the ones that have made it all the way up here. But they love to dig, and right now we're still enamored with them, but I think the next time Rob steps in one of their 3-foot deep holes and breaks a leg, I think they're going to be on the list.
Yeah.
But they do dig, and
Yeah.
and they're seem fairly blind and fairly hard of hearing, because you can walk right up to them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
one day we have these little ATVs that drive around on the trails in our prairie, and we have a couple ponds, and this one pond was dry. So like 3 or 4 years ago, and we had stopped there, and we have a little dog, and it was on, we saw the armadillo. It was late in the afternoon in the pond, and Rob lets the dog down. The dog chases after the armadillo runs back up and ran straight into the ATV that I was driving. So they are definitely bad eyesight, as well as, you know, and the joke is why you see them on the road is supposedly they jump when they're startled, which is probably why you see them so often down the road down here. But anyway, yeah, there's all sorts of interesting things to see down here. There was the bear that passed through the area. They were still not sure if it was 1 or 2, you know.
Cool.
Occasionally turkey hunters will talk about seeing a cougar, but that's very rare. But yeah, yeah, and then there's the venomous snakes. Yay! So hey,
Yeah. Our first trip down there, that's what the target was all the snakes. So, yep, we've
make
made
it.
did I like that?
Did you make it? Did you check them all off?
Peter would know what we saw on our trips down there for snakes, because when we went to Snake Road, it was not good conditions, so we didn't get a lot. But Peter can tell what we got.
The times we've been, our spring break never aligns with peak snake migration time, but we've seen a copperhead, and quite a few cottonmouths. But we've never seen a timber rattlesnake there. We've seen some in North Carolina, but none in Southern Illinois.
But then we've seen a bunch of other snakes down there.
Yeah, we've seen milk snakes, quite a few like really nice red milk snakes. A lot of worm snakes. The only ringneck stuff like that. The only thing that I think we need is smooth, rough green snake and earth snake.
What is it? Ribbon? Was that the one we looked for one time?
Oh yeah, and ribbon. Well, eastern ribbon.
Yeah. But
Well, the Snake Road is not a scene from the first Indiana Jones movie. You know, like when I was, you know, younger and first heard about this, I expected like we were going to be dropping into the building there when they were writhing out. No, it's not quite that way. So there are times when you walk Snake Road during migration where you don't see anything. A lot of people move stuff around, which you're really not supposed to do. You know, because if you move something and put it back, you know, could hurt something. But yeah, we have copperheads and rattlesnakes on our property. We haven't seen them so much lately. My husband occasionally would run into them when he's working in the prairie, the timber rattlers. My little dog Bean has been bitten 4 times by a venomous snake, but that's a story for another day. She survives. They actually make a rattlesnake vaccine that we found about, because we lost our first dachshund mix to a snake bite.
wow.
So we give our one we have now that, and they made, it's interesting because nobody around here knows about that. They made it for horses initially out west, and they made it for dogs, and it's cheap. And your dog doesn't have to suffer so much, you know, from getting bit, especially if you have a little dog like mine that lives to kill things. So she's always gets herself into trouble, you know.
Mm.
Anyway, I could go on, sorry.
No, no, not at all. That's great. Well, this has been super fun. I'm really glad that we could all get together and share some stories, and I appreciate it. I will connect with the fundraising teams, with the prizes that we have, so we can get those distributed. And we're super excited that everybody participated. This was a fantastic year. So thanks to Aaron, Evan, Paul, our team that came together to put this all together. And yeah, go for it, Aaron.
The judges for the cleverest name too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dustin and Tamima and
John Leonard.
John, thanks. Yep. So yeah, thank you for doing that. That's always a fun one to I like the names that people come up with. It's always good. So, all right. Well, thank you all, and we'll look forward to doing this again next year.
Excellent.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, bye.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.